future of school the future of school communications, how listening and customer service strengthen your district's brand. So I'm Sara Maston. I am a regional director, account director here at K12 Insight. So a lot's changed in recent years, and one way school communicators are adapting is through customer service. And today I'm actually joined by school communications professionals who are going to share how they've leveraged customer intelligence to improve experiences and engagement to build stronger district brands and create thriving school environments in their district. So before we dive in, I just want to share a little bit about K12 Insight and Let's Talk. So K12 Insight delivers the only customer experience platform built specifically for K through 12 schools. And we've helped over 400 districts across the nation to use Let's Talk through improving district-wide communications with a unified inbox, which provides that streamlined internal and external communications. We've also helped them with leveraging the simplified data and analytics to really identify trends or problems before they become a crisis, promote family and community engagement, build trust, and deliver superior customer experiences within the district. Now, without further ado, I'd like to actually invite our panelists to just take a moment to introduce themselves before we kick it off with the first question. Kate, you want to get us started?
Yes, I'm giggling because I just realized I'm wearing the same thing that I'm wearing in my photo. That was not on purpose. I really should have thought that through when I got dressed this morning. I'm Kate Crowder, and I am a communications coordinator in Germantown, Tennessee. We are a suburb of Memphis, Tennessee, and so I am a one-person shop. We have 7 schools and about 6,000 students, and that is me and what I do here in a nutshell. I handle internal, external, you name it.
Thank you.
I'm Krista Stockman. I'm the Public Information Officer for Fort Wayne Community Schools in Fort Wayne, Indiana. We are the largest traditional public school district in the state. We have about 30,000 students and 50 school buildings. And we've been using K12 Insight's Let's Talk tool since 2014. So it's been a number of years that we have had this tool in our toolbox.
Thank you, Krista. Michael?
Looks like it's my turn. Sorry about that. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Michael Willburn, and I work for Atlanta Public Schools. I've been here for 11 years. I currently serve as the administrative manager to the chief of staff here. We are a district with over 52,000 students and 6,000 employees, and I'm excited to be here to answer some questions about how Let's Talk and better support your school system.
Great, thank you all. So everyone feel free to pop any questions that you might have in the chat. We'll also have some time at the end for Q&A if you'd like, but I'm gonna go ahead and get it started with the first question. I'll open it up to maybe Kate, if you'd like to take this one first. How does customer service impact school communications?
So yeah, I think customer service is incredibly important. Obviously, we talk a lot as communications professionals about opening up those two-way channels for communication. A lot of times we focus on a one-way stream, but with Let's Talk, we were able to sort of work in some integrations to get that two-way communication happening in our district. We have not been using it for several years. Like some of my colleagues here in the chat today, we're a newer adopter of the system. We like many of you, were inundated with people wanting to provide us with feedback when the pandemic first began. So like many of you out there, we created a little generic email address that was auto-flowing into all of the cabinet members' inboxes, including mine, and it became very difficult to manage who had responded. And then some people were just going unanswered, which is not good customer service, is not a trust building move on our part as a school district. So we originally adopted Let's Talk when they offered a pandemic deal of some type. They let us try it for free during the pandemic, and we can't imagine life without it now. And I can't can't wait to explain to you how that's helped us with customer service. But from the backside or from the management side in my office, I am able to see when dialogues are submitted. I'm able to track those as far as response times. I don't know if any of you have struggles with principals or building leaders not answering emails, perhaps. And then the longer that those emails go unanswered, then they become a little more serious when they get to our level here at the district office. So just being able to use that not only as an accountability measure, but also as a training tool. The system allows users to rate their experience with people in our district. And that has been incredibly valuable because we did notice some trends and have been able to use that to address some customer service gaps, I guess, if you will, in the district in the most pleasant way possible. So rewarding people that are doing a really great job. And I'll talk more about that later in the chat. And then supporting people that maybe need a little help, whether that's templates or suggestions or, hey, have you tried making this a phone call? And then last but not least, some of you might be thinking like, why can't you just do that through email? Well, you could. My other favorite feature from a customer service standpoint of Let's Talk is that when you receive a dialogue, even if it's not originally intended for you, so sometimes I'll go in, our principals are busy. They're not, I want to paint this picture that they're being lazy or not wanting to respond. I just think they get inundated with a lot of tasks, day-to-day tasks that take them out of the customer service realm. But that's where, your PR professional can come in handy. I can go in and clear out their Let's Talks if necessary, or I can assemble a little team and we can go do that for them if there's an issue at a school. But when I go in to call a parent that, say, has reached out to a middle school, I'm able to click on that parent's name and their phone number comes up. Lots of other information, identifying information about them, their previous experiences, so I can see how they felt about their interactions in the past, and I can see all of the other dialogues that they have previously submitted. So it's almost like a relay race where you can pick up that baton and run with it for your teammates.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned how emails can get lost. Just today, I went into our Facebook messages and someone had commented that, well, I guess you're just going to ignore me here too, like they do at the school. And I looked at the original message and it was from February 24th. And sure enough, I had never responded. And so that was an opportunity for me to say to this parent, I apologize, it got lost. Here's another tool you can use to make sure it doesn't get lost in the future. And for us in Indiana, we are in a highly competitive market with charters, vouchers, just all the choices that families have. We know that we need to provide excellent customer service every day, because if we don't, they can easily walk away from us. And so when we started using Let's Talk in 2014, that was one of the main things that the superintendent at the time said when she said, all right, we are going to use this tool and we're going to use it well. That was one of the main reasons, is that we needed to improve our customer service and make sure that we're being responsive to our parents.
I would say for us, how customer service impacts school communication. I know here in APS, we use it as a two-way communication between our parents and stakeholders. It is also a part of our 5-year strategic plan where we committed to providing a comprehensive customer service experience that builds our transparency and accountability and provides quality customer service for all of our stakeholders here in Atlanta. So that's, a way that we built out our customer service here.
Thank you all. So Krista, maybe I'll kick this one over to you to start things off. Why do you feel districts should make customer service a priority, and how can they take their first steps towards adopting a culture of superior customer service? I think you might have touched on a little bit of already, but.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, in Indiana, it is highly competitive. If competition hasn't come to your state yet, it will sooner or later. We have more vouchers, I think, in Indiana than anywhere else. And so that really does mean, private schools, they have always sort of had this edge on public schools in terms of, how they relate to their customers, their parents. And so we just have to make sure that we don't ever have the attitude of, well, of course, the parents are just going to come to us. No, they aren't. And so we need to make sure that we are out there, that we are paying attention to their needs, and that we are making things as easy for them as possible. And if that's setting up this platform so that if at 10 o'clock at night they think of a question and that's when they have time to sit down and send a message, then okay, great. You do that at 10 o'clock, we will respond to you hopefully the next morning, but certainly within 2 to 3 days. And that, I know when we first started using this tool, that is something that when parents would get a response back, they were surprised. And now I have parents saying to other parents, if you have a question, use Let's Talk. They really look at that. They really respond to you. And so that just makes them, feel more committed to us. They recognize, because we show it, they recognize that we care about their concerns. And like I said, in today's environment, that is just, it is critical. People want to be, they want to be wanted, they want to be needed, they want to be heard.
Thank you.
I would, to answer that question, I just would think customer service is the source to stakeholders and parents' opinions. And if you don't have excellent customer service, this can impact your organization. So I believe the first step to adopting a culture of superior customer service is to really invest time and dedication into building out a customer service strategy. And I know here for us, we adopted back in 2019, when we adopted the Let's Talk platform, we branded ours as APS Cares. And we have so many acronyms, but it stands for accountability, creating an atmosphere for accountability, care, and service. And so we built our whole brand around that, where we developed email signatures for all of our employees here to have standard signatures, develop response templates. So when emails do come in, there may be some frequently, common questions that come in. So we had standard email templates we adopted, but then also to develop a way of how we answer our phones, and also to adopting a policy around our number of days that it takes to respond to our stakeholders. And that policy for us is within 5 business days. I do know with Let's Talk, we adopted this because like Kate said, we had no clear platform or clear way of tracking how departments in schools were responding to parents. I mean, people were getting emails all day, phone calls, and so I think our board said, okay, look, we're getting these complaints from our constituents, so we're going to task the administration with adopting and finding a customer service platform, and that's how we landed with Let's Talk. And now we have a dedicated person whose job is just to strictly manage Let's Talk. She goes in daily. Any tickets that are past 5 days, we have adopted the escalation flow, where it goes to the owner's interest area owner supervisor. If the supervisor does not, ring the interest area owner, then it goes to our chief, and from our chief, it goes to the superintendent and chief of staff. And that's what they really drill down into their chiefs, to hold the chiefs accountable for not really monitoring what the interest areas or the persons in their department who's responsible for responding to do.
Yeah. So,
real quick, Michael, can you share the acronym again for CARES? We had one question about that.
Atmosphere for respect. I'll put it in the chat just so I can make sure it's all right.
Perfect. Thank you.
So Michael really touched on some tools that are available through Let's Talk beyond just the basic platform of people sending messages and us being able to respond. He mentioned the automations that you can set up. And so that has been very helpful for me to go in and manage. So it'll notify me if somebody's gone unanswered in the system for a certain amount of time. And then he's right. And then if I don't answer it, it would escalate, to the superintendent eventually. that is extremely handy. But then the other thing that we've been using it for here in our district, he talked a lot about his school board. I don't know about any of y'all, but maybe your school board gets like 7 emails. And of course, I'm from a smaller district, so they get 7 emails about one topic. So it's like that topic has blown up and, they can't. Is 7 out of 15,000 families that we interact with, is that the data that we want to base a giant reaction on? And the answer to that we know from a research standpoint is no, probably not. And Let's Talk is an incredible tool for helping to diagnose what people are thinking and feeling. They also have some cool features built into the analytics side, where you can like create a word cloud. School boards love word clouds. They think the issue this month is fill in the blank, but you show them with data, supportive data. Here's what the actual issue is, and here's the importance of that. If you stack that up against the other issues. And the other thing that we do, besides that sounds really punishing to say, like the accountability measures for the automations, handy, but here in the GMSD where I work, we really do try to reward people. So each month we give the board a little report, and it explains who is able to answer the most Let's Talks. If somebody has like had an incredible improvement on their customer service scores, we'll highlight that as well. And then certainly showing them the interest areas that are trending. And our board loves that.
Yeah, ours does too. Our board doesn't actually go in and use Let's Talk, but they ask for data all the time. And especially over the past 2 years with the pandemic, with masks, with critical race theory, with all those hot topics, I can go in and I can say, okay, in the past month, we've had 4 messages about masks, 3 were in favor, and 1 just wanted to know what our policy is. And so it really was helpful while they were maybe hearing things out in the community or had gotten 2 emails. I could say, okay, but on our platform, this is not a hot topic, and the parents who are talking about it like what we're doing.
And I guess some other fun features, we use the chat bot. So not even just talking about like hot topics, but that's the virtual assistant. So when you go to our webpage, you can ask our virtual assistant questions. I think for us, when the superintendent and I first announced that we wanted to move to this, of course, the entire cabinet, my colleagues and the principals were like, what? This is not looked upon favorably until our little virtual assistant came into play, and they started to notice that they weren't getting the questions anymore. There was a robot now fielding the questions. So our student services department, for example, they normally field hundreds of phone calls. We've got lots of people that want to join our district. That's a wonderful problem to have. But we have limited availability, and our robot was successfully able to navigate about 345 of those phone calls for us through the chat feature this year. And so, maybe my biggest resistor in student services is now, hey, you know what? Thank you for instituting that. And let's see. Oh, that's a good question, Lizette. Does it cover everyone's email subjects or just people using the platform? They do have to use the platform, but you will find that if you become a Let's Talk district, I think parents catch on pretty quickly that if you use the Let's Talk system, nobody gets out of not responding to you. So it's typically where they do file their concerns, or if they feel like they're not being heard in some other traditional avenue. Another little quick tip and strategy, I send out weekly emails, I send out COVID notifications, and we're a school messenger client right now. So within that system, for the return address, you can also set it up where Let's Talk can become just an address, and then it sorts it into a box so it comes to me, and then I can direct it like a little traffic director. I can put it in whoever's inbox I want to. We use that, and so every time I send out an email or a text notification, they're able to respond. So they can just directly press reply and it goes straight into the system. We found that to be incredibly helpful on finding people with not just complaints, but also people with general feedback, or questions.
Great, thank you. Isabella asked a question in the chat. How has Let's Talk helped your board manage feedback from the community? And I've heard everyone kind of speak high level about their board. Michael, I'd love for you to share a little bit about your experience and how you all interact with the board. And we'll just start it off with you and then open it up to everyone else as well.
What I would say how it has helped our board manage feedback, actually something new that they just developed is that each board member on our webpage has our webpage is broken up by departments, and each board member has a landing page of their own. And on its landing page is how can we help you? And it brings up the Let's Talk pieces of, input in the area, and they utilize that for their own accountability as well too, for their constituents and state community members to communicate with them. And it's just a way, like they're holding us accountable for them to hold themselves accountable as well too. So I just know they just implemented that, as our previous board did not, but I know that as we are trying to take things to the next level with our customer service here, that was one of the implementations from our newly elected board chair. She wanted all of them to have the Let's Talk, something with Let's Talk on each of their landing pages, so that they're not bombarded with emails, like Kate said, and we're a system with over 52,000 students. So you can imagine how many emails our board members get a day, or, just imagine when they're out in the community servicing their parents, the requests they're getting in. So it's just a way for them to track their requests and keep up with everything, so it's not so bombarded in their emails.
Thank you. Does anyone care to add anything? I know we've spoken high level about board interactions already. All right. So, I know change is hard. And as you mentioned earlier, Kate, customer service isn't always ingrained in everybody, especially when we're in the education space. A lot of the educators are career educators because they have a passion for helping children, not necessarily coming out of a customer service world or environment. So what are y'all's recommendations for communicators that might be looking to make customer service part of their communication strategy, and kind of pulling that into the district when we see some resistance to change as well? How would you work through some of that?
I wouldn't necessarily, go ahead, Michael.
Ladies first. I'm sorry.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily recommend the route that we took, which was our superintendent came back from a conference and said, all right, we're going to use this new tool. Krista, you're in charge. We're implementing it within 3 months, which is faster than lightning speed for us for anything. And so the good thing about that was I got everyone together and I said, okay, hey, our superintendent says this is what we're doing. If you don't like it, don't complain to me. Our superintendent says this is what we're doing. So get on board. We're moving fast. And I think what the fear was that it was going to open up these floodgates of all these messages and all these people coming in and having complaints. And it really didn't take people long to realize that you're not getting any more messages than you used to get. You're just getting them in a more streamlined way. And then you can actually go back. You have a record of what was said. You have a record that you responded. So when that calls, because they will, when that parent calls your boss and says, I tried to get a hold of this principal and they never called me back, they never responded, you have a record of it. And so I think while it is frustrating sometimes that they get negative messages through Let's Talk, they get that through any platform. It's just, they have a very streamlined way now of dealing with it. And if they say, you know what, I can't resolve this, I'm going to escalate it up to the next level, they can do that too.
I would say for that question, it starts with your leadership and making sure that your leader, which is for many of us, our superintendents, buy into communications and customer service, and making customer service a top priority. So I know some things we did here was we focused on internal communications and awareness for schools and key departments with internal customer service functions, such as our transportation is a hot topic here. because many parents, where's the bus? Oh, my child bus left. So that was part of our strategy. We also focus on asking our customers questions of how would they like to be supported, as when we were looking for our platform. And then we assessed our customer service to determine where our organization was strong and then where we lacked. But then also we got buy-in from our staff who provide the frontline customer service. And so we just got buy-in from many individuals, and to come up with our strategy, and that's how we landed with Let's Talk. So I think those are some key things when focusing on looking to make customer service a part of their strategies, to focus on some of the things that I mentioned.
Yeah, I would agree with both of them. I think you have to model it. He's right. You really do have to start with internal communication, and Let's Talk has been a great tool for modeling. So for example, let's say that you do notice a colleague is getting lower scores. I would maybe pop in there and offer to take some of them off of their plate, and then they'll notice that I, for them, had generated much higher scores. And then it's like a natural consequence. They'll reach out and say, what did you say to that person? And then I'll model for them. Oh, I went through and I read about all of the interactions that they've had. And, we even out of it, our principals got so excited about this idea of this work that they now want us to do it for their teachers too, where, we've got like a list of things that you can say in a phone conversation to de-escalate. I think it also, it's not, is it okay if I say this? Sorry, K12 Insight people, it's not the cheapest of platforms. Not that you would want to advertise that to your teams, but I think even just investment in this program, it does show a commitment to this school district is refocusing itself on customer service. And then lastly, Michael hit on it a little bit. The front line of your school sometimes is or are your classified staff that often get, I think we do a great job in school districts providing professional development for our instructional staff, especially in areas of how to teach and the new curriculums that are always coming out and all of the shifts, in their worlds. But maybe that's an area that school districts, especially in face of school vouchers and school choice, that's kind of hitting all of us in the next few years, if it's not already at your front door. Training people in customer service is going to be a must.
Well, and since we started using Let's Talk 8 years ago, almost 8 years ago, Let's Talk has changed a lot. And Kate, like you said, I don't know how we would live without it at this point. We had a new superintendent come on board almost 2 years ago. And of course, when someone new comes in, they're looking at, all right, what are we doing? And do we want to continue these things? And Let's Talk was one of those things that I was very easily able to say, and to show him data, to say, this is something that is a very useful tool, that we need it. It is for our parents and our community so that we can be, at the top of our customer service game. And Kate, you mentioned the chatbot. We have a chatbot. Her name is Charlie. And we also now can turn on the live agent. So we have a couple of people in our HR department who they just answer the information line. And so they can turn, when they have time, they can turn that on and they can answer questions live. We haven't promoted that a lot yet because life is crazy. And so I wanted to make sure that they were really comfortable with it before we really started promoting it. But I think that's, if not this year, certainly for next year, we really want to push that, push the chatbot, push the live agent, push texting. You can text into Let's Talk, which especially around registration time, a lot of our families really find that convenient.
Yeah, I think the one thing that maybe isn't mentioned, and I don't know if it so much falls under customer service or just in the realm of one of the many responsibilities that one person, communicators such as myself, have to deal with. We redid our website over the summer, and the data from Let's Talk, or from the chatbot specifically, highly informative. I know that you can use Google Analytics and it will show you like where people are ending up on your website. But what's fascinating about evaluating the chatbot's conversations, and I do that about once a week, is just seeing like who comes to our website and what are they looking for, and did they find it? And it's funny how the answer was like, well, they were coming for this, and no, they did not find it. And some of the information from those interactions that are all cataloged, it was surprising and enlightening, and helped us to retool our website to be a lot more customer friendly.
I love that. Now we have a question in the chat, but I want to maybe just go back to something that Krista mentioned earlier too. When you shared that you guys had a new superintendent come into the district, and you were very adamant that this was a tool that you wanted to keep. When you were describing it to the superintendent, what would you say is maybe one of the top value adds or top few value adds that you felt were like super important? And I'm sorry if you touched on this and I'm asking you to be repetitive, but what would you say is that top value add that you said, I can't live without this because of?
I think it's, primarily that accountability and that ability to have a two-way connection with families, especially. Community members use it and staff members use it, but for us, it's that connection with families. And that really kind of goes to the question, how has it improved family engagement? And this is it. I mean, we can have a conversation with families, and families, like I said earlier, I see parents telling other parents on Facebook, hey, if you have that question or you have that issue, go on to Let's Talk. Here's the link. Just go on there. They will respond to you. And so that has just, there isn't a dollar amount that I can put on what that kind of engagement from our families really means. They now have the trust in us that if I use this platform, they are going to respond to me. If I use this platform, someone is going to hear what I'm saying. They don't always like the answer, and they sometimes give us scores that reflect their displeasure with the answer, not our customer service. And so that's just something that we have to tell principals over and over. We understand if you get a low score, we're not, this isn't something that you're being evaluated on, especially if we can say, okay, yeah, you did everything right. There's nothing more you could have done customer service wise. They just want a different answer. So they don't always like the answer, but I think they do always appreciate that we are listening to them and that we are taking the time to respond.
Thank you. And so, as you said, that pivots very nicely to the question that was raised in the chat. I'd love to hear from Michael and Kate, if you care to share. Have you seen more engagement from families since implementing Let's Talk?
Yes, we definitely have. And I think my favorite feature, I'm more of a chatter. Like I want to talk to you verbally on the phone, especially if you're having some issues. And so Sara is so right. When they submit that complaint, and they within like a few hours get a phone call from someone at district office, they seem so surprised that we're there to engage in a dialogue with them. And it's been really, really useful for us as a district. The fact that they want to come to the table now and have an actual dialogue with us, and not just lob complaints about us on social media.
I would say the same here. Of course, many of our families don't have email addresses. So one thing that's unique about Let's Talk is you don't have to have an email address in order to submit a complaint or a compliment. But also, as Krista mentioned, just the accountability piece of holding individuals accountable to making sure that they do respond to our stakeholders in a timely manner. I like to use this model that parents have a lot of choices, and they can send their child to any school in the world, but they chose to send their child to APS. So let's give them, as I think when you go to the grocery store anywhere, you want top customer service. And although they're not directly paying us. We owe our parents a service as well too, to provide that great level of customer service, because one, it builds trust for your organization. And then also, more so about trust and accountability for the employees that operate within the organization to respond to parents. It's not things being lost in emails or just not responding at all. So the level of accountability was very important for us.
Thank you. So earlier I asked Krista about the value add that was like, I have to have this because of XYZ. Do any of you have any specific examples of like a return on the investment that you've made into Let's Talk that you might be able to share out?
There are so many returns on investment for Let's Talk, but I can be very specific. Our HR team loves Let's Talk. Our former chief human resource officer, her and I were chatting, and she told me when we adopted Let's Talk, it really helped them out with recruitment and to help individuals reaching out to inquire about jobs. It was also a huge part of when COVID happened, how they were, parents were reaching out in reference to health services. And so I know it's a return because our former chief now is the vice president and chief human resource officer at Georgia Tech. And now she wants to implement Let's Talk and bring it to Georgia Tech for their HR department for a recruitment piece. So it does have its return on its investment, if you really put the time and work into it. And like I said, it starts in the top down. So if your top down is not taking it serious, then it's okay. It's a waste. So it really starts from the top up, and so that they can push down and make everybody buy into this customer service and really buy into utilizing Let's Talk. Because although as Kate mentioned, it was, we getting bombarded with all these complaints and stuff, but it's not also about complaints. And some parents really, send compliments and, about teachers, or just complimenting us on the system, just the system in general. So it has its pros and it has its cons, to it. So that's the return on investment. You're not going to be disappointed if you invest into the platform.
I would say that our adoption of it, sort of our big ROI, and again, we're a smaller district, but our superintendent got a lot of accolades from the school board because they did notice a sharp decrease in the amount of emails that were being escalated to their level. And that, I think, for any superintendent would probably be worth its weight in gold. That they know that if we've made customer service a priority and then they're not getting the complaints, which is ironic because typically they just take those complaints and filter them right back to us that we then answer for them to answer. So this is a little more proactive where number one, they're getting less of those complaints. And then number two, the complaints that they are getting and that we're getting, we've got data, an analysis around that. And so we do a monthly little magazine for our school board members, and there's a whole section about Let's Talk, and they appreciate the analytic capabilities that we have to show them, what's trending, what's not really trending, and what we might be looking at as an organization.
Same here for us as well, Kate. We do present at our board meetings in June, where our board wants us to report out on how we're doing, especially with our response time. They want to see the data behind that. They want to see data behind, who's responding, less than 5 business days, or how our CRX score trends up and down, and, asking us questions, how do you think you got here, and what are some strategies that you may implement in order to improve your CRX score, in order to improve your response time. So like I said, we now have a dedicated person that, they monitor that, and hopefully with this person, we see a change. Because what COVID happened, of course, I don't know, can't speak for many of y'all, our score went down, just to be transparent, because of course, parents are not gonna answers, they want to send their child to school. We were closing school, so we saw a huge dip in our score. And so now I'm hoping that since we have this person on board who's monitoring that, and we're taking the time to really answer those questions, be thoughtful around our answers, we see an increase back in our CRX score.
Yeah, I want to expand on something that Michael mentioned, that parents also do want a place where they can go and they can say, hey, someone did something good. We get those, and when we get those, we make sure we share them with the school, with the department, and whoever is receiving the accolades. And we've also been proactive in soliciting those kinds of messages. So for Valentine's Day, we put out a message that said, show the love to your favorite teacher. Is there someone in a school building or one of our departments that's done something great? We have a dialogue topic called shout out. So we said, you know what, it's Valentine's Day, show some love, give someone a shout out. We probably got 50, which, 50 compliments in one day. I mean, I'll take it, and it just was a little thing and made a lot of people happy. So this doesn't just take in, all the complaints. I mean, it really is a place where good things happen too.
There's like one last little thing, and I don't know that any of us have talked about it, but on the backside of Let's Talk, the ability to collaborate with people from other departments is pretty fabulous. So like, let's say that I open my Let's Talk and it's just like one hateful message after the next. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I don't even know how to go about this. There is a behind the scenes function where I can, like, I'm like, ooh, the HR needs to know about this. So I can just tag HR right in there. And so then they are looking at it with me. We can discuss that dialogue in a way that the customer can't see that. I can ask questions of principals at the school level, because I'll say, ooh, let me help you with this one, but I'm going to need a little bit more intel about, the behind the scenes of this. And it's nice that it all collects in one place and isn't lost somewhere in my inbox, because I get, I don't know, like 400 emails a day or something stupid like that. And so that can be really hard to keep track. But that if it's Let's Talk, that the parent knew it was serious enough, they were wanting a response. And I guess I'll go ahead and I'll answer Lizette's question if you guys want me to. She asks about the implementation process. I feel like we just implemented it like right away. So it was kind of like we implemented it. They trained me and some cabinet members on it. We trained the principals, and then we were like up and running within a month. And we didn't even have to do a huge push for Let's Talk, because I think, of course, that was pandemic time. So people really wanted to provide us with feedback. I imagine, Krista will have some advice if you want to do a 3-month implementation period. It sounds like she lightning speed got that up and running. And if you just keep using it faithfully, it's almost like word of mouth will spread. Like, oh, do you want a response? Use Let's Talk. They also have all these awesome features, like when people go to your website, it can like pop up as a little tab. So it's, they'll see that before they start searching for people's names and email addresses. And then, finally, I feel like we slow rolled it. So enough, like we started out with the email function, and then it was like, their team at K12 Insight, they'll reach out and say, hey, you're really doing a great job. And you're like, oh, am I? Thank you. And they'll be like, do you want to know about the next step? And then you'll master that, and they'll be like, do you want to know about the next step? So it was kind of like we were slowly adding things as it went along. And we started with the automations and added the chat bot. And then it was like, ooh, tell me more about how it can be set up as an email. How can it be set up as a text message? So, they make great suggestions on how you can like move the needle on continuing with the program.
Yeah, I would say for us, there was no way that we could have launched, within a month, being a bigger district, but the way we did it too, and I don't know about Atlanta, Michael, how you guys did it, but we started, because this was so new to everybody, we started with our central office departments first and promoted that. And then, so that was, I think, in November. And then I think in January, we launched the schools. So the principals could at least see a little bit, okay, this is how it's going to work. It's not killing anybody. It's not overwhelming people. So it gave them a little bit of time to adjust to it before they had to take it on. And I see Lizette's asking about if it diminishes social media hate. And Lizette is actually from a neighboring district here. I can't promise that it's going to diminish what you get, Lizette, but but I think it has, you know, when people know that if they go on our Facebook page and just start saying stuff, and it's not going to be productive. So come to this platform where we can actually do something about it. I think that it has helped. And like I said, to me, the proof is in parents telling other parents, this is where you want to go with your complaints.
I would say for us, for our initiation, how long it took us to roll out to the community, we started with putting the RFP out to, you know, scout customer service platforms. And then when we sat down as a team, along with some other, we developed a cross-functional team from individuals within our IT department, various key department leaders, to develop a strategy around customer service, because we wanted to tie it to our customer service strategy. And then, you know, develop a communications plan for a timeline on how we were going to implement it out. So we developed initial key messages, initial communication to district leaders and committee to target staff and parents and stakeholders that we were going to roll this out. So we had like a 6-month rollout plan, and we started. Our full implementation was at the start of the school year in 2019, between August and September, at our back to school bash. We flushed it out at our bash, and, you know, and has been rolling ever since. We are not as far as Kate with the chat box, or as Krista with the live chat. When pandemic happened, there was some lapse in, you know, monitoring, because everything was such an immediate attention with the pandemic that, you know, the platform, not necessarily saying it was lost, but it was not looked at, because we were trying to manage and mitigate COVID stuff and just with students, period. And so now we're finally picking back up, and we're collaborating with our strategy team to reinvent and rebrand what I call, not rebrand Let's Talk, but our implementation for what I call Let's Talk 2.0, and what does it look like? And so now we want to implement things like chat box, the live chat, and the text message, but just moving in those slow steps and building strategies, because I have a philosophy that when you start something, you can't take it away. And so when we started, we want to make sure that's something we can keep up with and that we can sustain. And once we, you know, we've mastered the big thing of Let's Talk. So now let's master something else. And when we master that, we can master this, and it just continues to grow and grow.
Yeah, I don't think it'll ever get rid of social media hate. Totally.
Social media, it does not diminish social media. Hey, we get hate messages and Let's Talk. Social media everywhere. It's not going anywhere.
But I feel like, you know, people go to social media and they want to complain because they don't want to engage in a two-way dialogue with us typically. And it's very nice, though, thinking that the larger percentage of parents out there, I guess, know that we want to engage in a two-way dialogue with them, that our door is open. Our board sees and recognizes that. And it sure does make those social media crises a lot easier to stomach, knowing that more people, I guess, are on your side.
And to y'all's point on social media, I as Krista said, Kate said, Michael said, we can't diminish it. We can't get rid of it. It's probably always going to be there forever and always. But our team can help you with some creative ideas on things that districts such as you all have already done and implemented to help in change the conversation or redirect those individuals to actually having that conversation to hopefully mitigate it a little bit further. So I wanted to expand upon the question too about kind of the time frame and what that onboarding might look like. I think that we just heard that the process is very different for everyone. So it's important that we listen to you guys. And so that's exactly what we do is we kick off with a launch call in which we actually get together and we talk about what your goals and your plans are as it relates to customer service, listening to your community, and this engagement strategy. And it can be as fast or as slow as you need it to be. We prefer it not to be super fast because we want to make sure that it's done with a ton of efficacy, right? That it's done and it's done well. But sometimes we have pressing priorities that require that. And other times we want to be very slow and meticulous and thoughtful about it. And that's okay too. It's very important for us to help you meet your community where they are and serve the needs of your district as it relates to that too. So great questions. So I do want to go ahead. I'm going to open it up now, if it's okay with everyone else, to just some additional Q&A. If anyone has any questions, I think we can either do like a raising of the hand within this, or feel free to pop any questions in the chat that you might have as well. Nobody be shy, okay? We're all communications professionals, so. Yes. Thank you for that, Olivia. So she said, speaking of social media, we have seen some districts link to their Let's Talk landing pages on social media to help direct traffic to Let's Talk. So that's a great area where our customer success team can actually support you in helping to redirect some of those individuals that might be contacting. I've also heard other districts who have more of an automated response on their Facebook feeds saying, you know what, we don't always catch these messages, so we don't run into a message that might have been sitting for a week. We don't always see these on a regular basis. If you have a pressing question or need, please visit us on our district page and go to Let's Talk. So some good strategies that we can work with you on there. Isabella asked, what are some ways Let's Talk saves your team time?
I no longer have to search for emails through emails upon emails. And we don't, like, if there is a problem, we don't have to get IT involved to like pull an audit. It is fabulous having all of that at your fingertips. You can search it. You can search the history as soon as they've submitted a dialogue. So even if they're submitting a dialogue to me, I can go back and see every other person in the district they've talked to. Sometimes I'll see like, ooh, we probably just need to go ahead and escalate this on up to the deputy superintendent, you know, so huge time saver in that regard.
Same here, saves time from searching through emails. It's a great one-stop shop to look at everything. And as Kate said, tracking the conversation history, the open to close rate, and see if individuals are really just opening them and not going back to, you know, to close them out or even responding to them. So I would say that that is a benefit, because I know many of us are bombarded with emails every day. And so it's easy to miss that one parent take that as just far as it could go.
Yeah, mine actually ties into the next question of how do you make Let's Talk part of your daily routine? And for me, I mean, I've been doing it for so long that it really is just part of my routine. I come in, one of the first things I open is Let's Talk, and I just start going through and knocking, you know, those things out. If I have a little bit more time, then I'll look at not just the ones that are assigned to me or my team, but I'll look at all of them and see if there are things that I can knock out for other people really quickly. One of the things that sometimes happens is we'll have a local person or a vendor go in and send 20 messages. Now they have to go in and do this one by one. So they can't just spam you. I mean, they have to actually take the time and go one by one. So they can be persistent, but I can take all of those, combine them into one, and send one message back to them. And so that saves my principal's time. It saves me time from having to send an email 20 times back to this person. So yeah, it is just part of my daily routine, just like opening up my email inbox.
Yeah.
Yep, I don't particularly, like I said, run Let's Talk. A lot of my work is managing the initiative and making sure that we are following process for the person that does monitor the platform. Like I said, we do have a dedicated person whose job is to, you know, strictly manage Let's Talk. And I know what she does. She comes in daily, looks at the, you know, the reports. And as Krista says, she takes them all. And Let's Talk has so many other things that we haven't even explained that you can do, how you can group reports and by interest area or owner, and all she does is shoots it out via our work email, and we copies the supervisor on and say, hey, you have this many, a number of outstanding tickets, you know, please respond to it, you know, by this day, close of business. And so that's her daily routine. Also too, we get these daily analysis reports, weekly rather, about our, you know, how many dialogues are open, the past due date. So it has some great, great features. like I said, just also making sure that we hold individuals accountable daily to remind them that this is a part of our work. And I think Kate mentioned it's not a part of your evaluation, but it is a part of your day-to-day work. It's something that we implemented. And as I said like at the beginning, just making sure that the buy-in is there so that everybody can be a part, and they are modeling the same thing: excellent customer service.
Yeah, same. I mean, exactly what Krista said. For me, I would estimate I spend between 30 and 45 minutes daily, same time each morning. Just like you would for emails if you're trying to like answer emails, but also produce products during the day. So I've got my let's talk time. I go in, just like she's saying, if I'm caught up, I'll go get somebody else caught up, and that's quite easy to do. And they love that. And then there is, if you have a chat bot, there's some management on that side where you have to kind of go in and look at the conversations that didn't go well. I guess, like someone's question wasn't answered by the chat bot. But in that work, I usually do that work in the afternoon. So that's like two separate schools of thought for me. And I've engaged my high school interns in on that for the chat bot, because I think they're just like chatting with the internet. They are very handy at helping with that, finding broken links and helping to adjust questions and answers.
I love that you found a way to incorporate the high school students and the interns. That's awesome. Bringing them into the fold and giving them a job. So, all right. Any other questions from the audience? All right. Well, let me go ahead. And I'm just going to pop up my contact information on this screen here for you all. I really appreciate everyone joining today and, learning and listening a little bit with our colleagues here. And it looks like, oh, that's Olivia. I thought that I had another question, Olivia. So anyway, thank you all so much for joining and learning a little bit more about how your district might be able to help build trust and deliver some superior customer experiences.